jungle fatigue blouse and grabbed my helmet and flak jacket from their place on the deck behind the coxswain's flat. The other gunners and the boat commander also put on their battle gear. The SEALs behind me slapped each other on the shoulders and began making the animal grunts SEALs use to psych themselves for combat. They were not wearing any protection at all, except for some camo grease paint on the face of the one without a beard or handlebar mustache. Two of them were wearing cut-off camouflage jungle fatigues and bright red bandanas carefully tied over their heads. Two carried standard M16 rifles with three 30-round banana magazines taped together. Another had an M79 grenade launcher, and a fourth cradled a duck-billed 12-gauge Ithaca pump shotgun. The shower shoes on the feet of two of them completed the picture of third-world, scruffy, ill-disciplined commandos, the antithesis of what I expected from such highly trained and superbly conditioned U.S. Navy frogman warriors before they stormed a fortified bunker complex in broad daylight. I knew that if I were going ashore at that bunker complex, I would be wearing a helmet, flak jacket, and jungle boots with double nylon or aluminum inserts. I had seen what could happen in that canal. I knew about the toe-popping booby traps widely laid out around enemy fortifications. But far be it for me, the river rat full lieutenant, just promoted from JG 3 weeks earlier, and tactical commander for this little operation, to question the attire of the guys who had to do the heavy lifting once the boats reached their objective. I mused that maybe the bright red bandanas would at least keep the SEALs from shooting at each other once ashore. The SEAL SSB was 30 meters into the Mokai Canal as my lead PBR entered. We closed up to 10 meters before we slowed down to the 12-knot max speed of the steel craft ahead of us. The other three PBRs were at 10-meter intervals astern. I'd been down that canal before. 100 meters down, it had a bend to the south. Past that bend, the landscape changed. The tall grass on the bank gave way to raised mounds, earth-covered palm logs covered by palm leaves, Viet Cong bunkers. Some of them might be reinforced with concrete. The west end of the canal was blocked by steel cables and tons of logs, so the PBRs and the SEAL boat would have little room to maneuver. If trapped in a firefight, the river rats would need to silence the gun ports of those bunkers with machine gun fire, 76mm rocket fire from our LAWs, lightweight anti-tank rockets, or demolition charges from the SEALs. This was not a pretty prospect. We hoped that the bunker complex would not be manned. The barricade appeared in front of the SEAL boat. It looked like a green ribbon of flotsam with all the palm leaves lashed to the logs by steel cables. The SEAL support boat edged into the south bank 10 feet from the barricade. I told Pappy to beach the PBR behind the SEAL boat. The 7 SEALs from the first boat were already on the bank and secure in the area where the steel cables were anchored. The SEAL support boat backed off and made slow, lazy turns in the water with 2 guns aimed at the west bank. 4 SEALs from my PBR leaped to the bank from behind the coxswain's flat and started moving inland. They were to scout beyond the bank with the intention of covering the others from any enemy who attempted to enter the area from the tree line 200 meters away. The 2 guys on the bow of my boat had to lower themselves from the elevated bow into some vegetation. The first one gingerly eased himself off the boat, found a path, and moved quickly into the underbrush. As the last SEAL was about to go over, there was an eruption of automatic weapons fire and explosions ahead of the PBR. It was the distinct staccato roar of a stoner, the belt-fed 150-round 5.56mm machine gun used by SEALs, and the whoomph of grenade blasts inside bunkers. The SEALs on the first boat were clearing the bunkers and the fighting holes around the barrier. The last SEAL on my boat jumped from the bow into the green bushes to join his buddies. He leaped right onto a punji stake. I heard his scream above the sound of the weapons. I rushed forward on the port gunwale with an M16 in my left hand. The boy, probably around 20 years old, was on his back in the mud. 10 inches of barbed bamboo stake protruded from the top of his right foot, just behind the rubber thong of his shower shoe. Another dumbass SEAL. I yelled to Pappy that a casualty had to be lifted back onto the boat. The plan had been for our PBR to join the other 3 PBRs performing Lazy 8 patterns in the canal until the SEALs were ready for extraction. So much for the plan. I ordered the forward 50 gunner to get out of his mount. I gave him my rifle.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.